Hello everyone, and thanks for tuning into the 10th Winter 2024-25 update. GavsWeatherVids. So here we go again. It's time to bring you another winter update. We are up to update number 10 out of 13. We are now at the business end of winter updates, where we get into double digits with the winter updates. We can say we've reached business end. So I shall get on the 10th update for you in a moment. Can have lots of data to include in this one with all of winter updates goodness, and our analogs are going to be focusing on October data on this update. So more about that in a second. Just say that if you're enjoying the content on the channel at the moment, please do like, share, subscribe. Thank you so much, everybody, for doing that. So GavsWeatherVids, thank you so much, everyone. Thank you so much, Richard, for our wonderful Christmas updates gift. Thank you so much, Rich. I love it. Love it. In a moment, you're going to see the Swingometer from the King of Swing, Richard Trott. That will be coming up as the very first thing that you see in this 10th winter update. More about that in a second as well. Just say that first video today with our 6 a.m. UK weather forecast. We are going to be live at 6 p.m. this evening. We'll be live streaming, well, we'll discuss this 10th winter update. We'll be live streaming our 10th morning there, and there will be long range included in that as well. So it is a Sunday live, so you've got to bring you some long range. I'll be looking at the CFS and CanSIPs, I think, this week. Then straight after the live stream, I mean immediately, within seconds, we'll have the latest in sort of Christmas countdown for you as well. That is update number 2, Christmas countdown. That will be released straight after the live stream this evening. So a very busy day at GavsWeatherVids. I hope you're enjoying all of the content, everyone. Right, well, all of that said, all the announcements done. Thanks to Richard, thanks to so much to Shrine Bruin as well. Hashtag Team Gav doing an awesome job. All of the announcements are done and dusted. I reckon the first thing we better bring you is our Swingometer. So why don't we do that? So, after 9 winter updates, 2 seasonal model roundups, and let's not forget the NEO forecast that kicked everything off back in the summer, this is how the Swingo is looking. In 5, in 4, in 3, in 2, in 1. Here we go. And we are still favouring a colder than average winter by 58% to 42%. However, there has been a very slight 2% swing from cold to mild since last week's update. So last week's updates did in fact produce a swing too mild from cold, but still favouring overall a cold average winter by 58% to 42%. And look at Luke and Leah swinging. They're swinging. Richie's swinging. Who else is swinging? I don't know. She's so much rich. She's so much, my friend. King of Swing, or the Swingometer. You will find out at the beginning of next week's 11th update how this 10th update has affected the Swingometer, if indeed it has. But that is how we look as of the end of last weekend's updates. Right, okay, thank you, Sir Rich. What a start. Let's have a look at this then. So, this is from Hadley, showing rainfall in terms of England and Wales precipitation for October 2024. We actually came out very close to average with 101.2 millimetres. That was an anomaly of 98%, so virtually bang on long-term averages. See, through most of October, it was actually a wetter than average month, but we had a very dry sort of final week or so of the month, which meant that in the end we caught up with our long-term average, which of course is the black line just there. So very close to average for England Wales precipitation for October 2024. So very simply, our first set of analogues will be looking at winters following Octobers with very close to average precipitation across England and Wales. And thanks so much to Shrine Brian for sorting these years out for us. Thank you so much, Shrine. Okay, so we're going to start off with the winter of 1952-1953. High pressure out in the Atlantic, low pressure across much of Europe as well, and winds coming in from north. A few cold snaps during winter of 52-53. Then we've got 68-69, which is a genuinely cold winter, has blocking area of high pressure over Greenland. I think that's shown up quite a bit in our winter updates as well this year. Low pressure down here, winds coming in from the east, has a pretty chilly December and a classic white Christmas through some places, or for some places. And then a mild wet January, or a milder wetter January, and then very, very cold right at the very end of January, and that takes us into a cold and snowy February in 1969. We've got 1974-1975, following close to average England and Wales precipitation in October. This one with high pressure across Europe, low pressure out in the continent. That's a very mild winter with winds coming in from the southwest. Then we've got 1986-1987. With high pressure up towards Iceland and winds coming in from the east. Very mild December, which you don't get from that analogue, of course. Very mild December in 1986. And then winter really bites with an extremely severe spell of cold and snowy weather in January of 1987. And then it's rather on and off then through the remainder of the winter. We've got 1988-1989, which is a very mild and dry winter. High pressure building up from the Azores, low pressure up here, jet streams up there as well. So that's a dry, very mild winter. And then we've got 1989-1990, which is also a very mild winter. Winds coming up from the southwest. The difference is that one is much more unsettled, deep low pressure in the Atlantic. So a dry, mild winter for 88-89, and then a very mild but also very wet winter for 1989-1990. We've got another one, 3 in a row, blimey, 1990-1991. This is a much colder winter, high pressure centred towards Scandinavia, winds coming in from the east, has the famous Midland snowstorm in December 91, then a mild and stormy Christmas, cold, dry and frosty through much of January of 91, and then severe cold hits in February 1991 with a big freeze and lots of snow, courtesy of a very impressive Scandinavian high and easterly blast. Then we've got 93-94. This one is a very wet and unsettled winter. Some cold snaps coming and going, particularly focused on the second half of December and again in February of 1994, but also a lot of mild wet weather in between. We've got 94-95, which is another mild and wet winter as well. Low pressure to the north, high pressure to the south. A few cold snaps again in that winter, particularly focused around January, I think, and more for the north of the country. But overall, that is a very wet and also mild winter. And then finally, we've got 08-09, 2008-2009, with high pressure to our east and north and low pressure to the south, winds coming in from an easterly direction. That is the first of the run of colder winters from 08-09 to 12-13. So with that winter, we get some cold weather around Christmas and New Year of 2008. Then there's a few colds actually January, but the really cold weather in that winter is actually again in February, the first half of February, seeing those easterly winds driving in from the Urals with quite a bit of snow. Right, let's start putting all of that together then. So this is how all December's combined looking following October's with average England and Wales precipitation. Quite an unsettled signal, low pressure up to the north, high pressure out to the west and southwest, and winds coming in from a westerly direction. Might be a bit cold snap potential, but high pressure is slightly reaching in the Atlantic, but overall relatively mild signal. And all January's combined looking mild and unsettled as well, with low pressure in the Atlantic, winds coming up from the southwest. Yeah, there will be exceptions to this, but overall looking relatively mild and unsettled for January's, and then all February's combined looking like that, rounding it all off for a pretty grim set of analogues for cold lovers. Lots of low pressure in the Atlantic coming into West Europe. Again, there's exceptions with that. We've got 1969, which is a very cold and snowy February. We've got 1991, which also has a lot of cold snowy weather, and 2009, which has quite a bit of snow, first half of the month anyway. But they're the exceptions, you know, so if you average it all out, generally it's a relatively mild and wet signal for the Januaries. And finally, this is how all winters combined looking following average England Wales precipitation in October. Very unsettled signal, goodness gracious me. All that low pressure in the Atlantic into northern parts of Europe as well, so a very wet signal there through those winters. It just shows a shrine brilliant for getting all of those years together for us. Absolutely amazing. Thank you so much, Ryan. Right, we're not going to have a break there. We're going to carry straight on, and we're going to go to oceans data next. So this is how there will be breaks coming up. Don't worry, there's going to be a couple of break points coming up, but I didn't want to have a break point there. So I'm going to go straight on to oceans data, and more analogues coming up as well for the CET, October CET. That's coming up later on in the video too. Right, so ocean data. This is how the oceans were looking. We did last week's 9th winter update, our 4 areas of interest, and so regions just there, Northern Pacific up here, particular focus of the Northeastern Pacific, Indian Ocean over there, and the North Atlantic Ocean is over there. That is how the oceans were looking when we did last week's 9th winter update. This is how the oceans are looking as of 10th winter update. Wow, wow, wow. Let's have a look at the ENSO region first of all, the equatorial Pacific Ocean. How has La Niña developed over the past week? Let's go back and then go forwards. So I reckon La Niña has lifted off the gas a little bit through here, through the central western portion of the equatorial Pacific Ocean, but possibly has strengthened a little bit in the eastern portion of the equatorial Pacific Ocean. Again, that's the situation last week, this is the situation this week. So we do still have a weak La Niña signature, definitely. But it is a struggle. It is one of the weakest La Niñas, I think, that we've ever seen. And I doubt it's going to strengthen. It might strengthen a bit more, but I doubt it's going to strengthen much more. So weak La Niña looks like it's going to be where we're at for the winter 2024-25. In the northern Pacific, let's go into the northern part of the Pacific Ocean. That's how things were looking last week. Remember, particular focus around here. This should be the latest. So a cooling has taken place in this northeastern corner of the Pacific Ocean. A definite cooling signal is in place there with cold and average sea surface temperature anomalies. What about this area down here? Let's have a look at last week. Go through to this week. So I reckon that area might have cooled a little bit as well. Not as much as further north, but that area might be cooling too. Eventually, if we're going to have a negative PDO signature, which I think we will find like a horseshoe shape of cold of an average sea surface temperature anomalies probably through there. That will be later on in the winter. So the cold PDO signature strengthening in the North Pacific. La Niña, as it has been throughout the season, really struggling. It's just about there, I guess. And then in the Indian Ocean, this is where we're looking now. Of course, that's how things were looking last week. This is the latest. So most areas of the Indian Ocean appear to have warmed, especially from the central Indian Ocean over towards Australia. And then finally, let's have a look at the North Atlantic. So we are over here now. That's the situation last week. This situation this week. I think generally the sea surface temperatures have cooled a little bit in the Atlantic over the past week, maybe particularly through here. But overall, most areas are still quite warm, so it's still warm of an average you hit through there, through there, through there, through there. If we cool things a bit more through here, we might get a tripole going, but it's not a classic tripole signature by any means. This would be 7-day trend, a 7-day change. So in the ENSO region, as you can see, over the past week, actually, the development of La Niña has stalled really, particularly in this central and eastern portion. I say a little bit of cooling has still taken place in some eastern regions. The Indian Ocean just generally warming in all areas. The northern Pacific generally cooling, especially over towards Japan here, but also in this northeastern corner, so we confirm that cooling has taken place with the sea surface temperatures through the northeastern Pacific. And then in the Atlantic, so warming still in the subtropical Atlantic down here, quite a bit of cooling through here, though the anomalies haven't yet gone colder than average. And then up here, some areas are still warming a little bit as well. So you look at that, and it doesn't look that far away from a tripod in terms of the 7-day trend, with warming still going on through there, cooling going on through here, and then warming still going on through there. If that trend was maintained over several weeks, we would possibly get ourselves into a tripod. But of course, that's just a 7-day. That's just a 7-day trend, a 7-day change. Right, let's have a look at the SOI. So an oscillation index is an index that's reflecting the atmospheric state between Tahiti and Darwin, measuring air pressure. So this is from Queensland Government. We've got the Tahiti column just here, the Darwin column just there, and then the overall number for the Southern Oscillation Index is in that column. Now, if we have La Niña, a La Niña setup in the atmosphere, we will have a positive SOI. If we have an El Niño atmospheric setup, then we will have a negative SOI. So we have gone through quite a prolonged period of positivity of the SOI, so La Niña type atmospheric setup here, plus 13, plus 16, plus 11, plus 16, plus 19, plus 13, plus 13. And plus 2. But through this week, we've actually seen a bit of negativity creeping back in, which I suspect, again, is why the development of La Niña has stalled a little bit over the past week. So on the 29th of October, -3, 30th of October, -3, 31st of October, -3, +3 on the 1st of November, and then really very negative on the 2nd of November, -9, telling us, but still, despite the fact that we thought a week or two back that the atmosphere and the ocean were finally coupling up, and we will finally see the La Niña properly bedding in from an atmospheric and also oceanic standpoint. Despite that, we are still seeing a bit of fighting going on. We're still seeing the atmosphere trying to get itself back into an El Niño type setup, and I think that's probably one of the main reasons, anyway, why the development of La Niña has kind of stalled again this week. This is how the graph is looking. So the red line here is the 30-day SOI average. That went increasingly positive from early October towards month's end, and is now stalling. Meanwhile, the 90-day average, this yellow dashed line, has lifted up a little bit, but has also kind of flatlined away as well. So still we see fighting going on between the atmosphere and the ocean, to some degree anyway. SOI predicting a weak La Niña. So we've got our temperature dominance here on the side of the chart. The dates in much periods along the bottom. We're currently around here around half a degree below average. The all-important number is 0.5, half a degree. Got to be at that or lower over 5 tri-monthly periods have La Niña designated. At its strongest around Christmas, we see that CFSB2 is forecasting that it will go down about 1 degree below average in the central portion of the equatorial Pacific Ocean. That is weak La Niña territory. And then we see that the temperature number comes back up again, and we revert back to ENSO neutral as usual during the spring. We'll see about that. Kind of connected to the oceans is what's going on with the 2024 Atlantic hurricane season. This is the 2024 Atlantic hurricane season page from Wikipedia. And these are the scores on the doors, Miss Ford. Very latest. We have had a total of 16 tropical depressions, 16 tropical storms, 10 hurricanes, and 4 major Category 3 or above hurricanes. I think the total depression and storm number is up 1 on last week, while the hurricanes and major hurricanes number is unchanged. This is from Ace Master Shrine Broom. Thank you so much, Shrine, for getting our Ace page updated. Accumulated cyclone energy, of course, is measuring the amount of energy each individual storm is giving out, and then creating an accumulated number throughout the season. The seasonal classification is below normal, near normal, above average, hyperactive. If we come down to the very latest, we can see that our ACE for 2024 is standing at 145.30. And that is after 15 tropical storms, 10 hurricanes, and 4 majors. So that 16th tropical storm, comes into being today as I'm recording a video on Saturday, so not accounted for on the ACE page this week. It'll be accounted for next week. That is more than the running average, so this is an above normal season. 116.10 is where we'd expect to be as of the 2nd of November. That would be after 14 tropical storms, 7 hurricanes, and 3 major hurricanes. So all of the numbers are above average. It is an above normal season. If we was to get one more big storm, if we was to get one more big hurricane, maybe get to 180, something like that, so put on about another 30 to 40 points. If we was to get that, we might just about scrape a hyperactive season. At the moment, it looks like it's going to be an above normal season, but we perhaps have to wait another week or two to confirm that. Thank you, Shadow Ace Master Shrine, for sorting out our Ace page for us and keeping us updated with Ace. Right, just very quickly with the QBO, because I've been in oscillation, confirming again that we are in the westerly phase of the QBO. This is from NASA. This is the top of the atmosphere at 10 HPA. In the stratosphere, this is 30 to 50 HPA. That's the boundary level of the atmosphere called the troposphere, and that's where weather takes place. And this sandy brown area is the descension of the westerly phase of the QBO from the strat into the trop. It's going to be a westerly QBO winter. We do see the first signs, first hints of the next easterly QBO phase here in the very top of the atmosphere at the stratospheric level. We don't have to worry about that at the moment. That will become more important when we're beyond winter, probably into next summer. But for the moment, westerly QBO continues. And I don't think we have the latest number for the westerly QBO from NOAA. No, we haven't. So we will have October's number for you next week. That will be placed just here, and we'll be able to see what that number is showing when we do next week's 11th update. We'll bring you that data next week. Okay, we're going to have a little break point there. We've been talking for just over 20 minutes. We're doing all right for time, I think. Put in a little break point there, and when we return, we're going to have some solar data for you. So that's going to be quite interesting. More about that in a second. See you in a moment, everyone. Okay, we're back and we're ready to resume the epic 10th winter 2024-25 update. If you've enjoyed what you've seen so far, please like, share and subscribe. Thanks so much, everybody, for doing that. Thanks to Richard for amazing winter updates here. Thank you so much, Rich, and to Shrine for the help on the update as always. Right, solar data next. So this is how the solar disk is looking on our side of this day from Soham.net to sunspot regions galore all over the place. We have got a very spotty disk just here. I have to be careful how I say that. Solar activity is at moderate levels and is expected to remain at moderate levels for the next 3 days as well, as reported by Solarham. This is the GavsWeatherVids 10th winter 2024-25 updated solar tracker from Shrine. Thanks so much, Shrine, for updating the solar tracker. So the orange line and orange spot depicting each individual day's worth of sunspot activity. Last week, we confirmed that we had quite a big tick up in daily sunspot numbers. We have seen a bit of a tick down in daily sunspot numbers recently, even though we're still at quite a highish sort of level. Of course, our first peak of the solar cycle, so cycle 25, happens just there back in the summer, and since then we have eased off the gas slightly and been at a somewhat low level, although still, pretty active, still a lot of daily sunspot numbers, really. This is how solar cycle 25 is looking compared to solar cycle 24 and 23. So, the green line and green spots is current solar cycle, of course. Just here, solar cycle number 25. There is the first peak of the solar cycle back in the summer. It might be the peak of solar cycle, we'll know in a year or so's time. So in September, we saw quite a significant reduction, I think, in sunspot numbers there from the peak earlier on in the summer. The latest is just here, I think, this green spot just there. That is October. No, slight tick up, in October compared to September, but still under the earlier peak that we had back in the summer. As we've explained, particularly when we did our solar special, I think that's update number 7, this is a more active solar cycle in terms of sunspot numbers compared to the last solar cycle, number 24, which is this one just here, but it is less active than solar cycle 23, which is just here. Note that both the past 2 solar cycles had 2 peaks during solar maximum. The first peak of 23, solar cycle 23, happened in 2000. Second peak in 2002. In between, there was a bit of a drop down in activity. For solar cycle 24, we had our first peak in December 2011. Our second peak, which was the peak of that solar cycle, occurred in February 2014. In between, there was a bit of a drop down. And I reckon this is like the first peak, definitely, of solar cycle 25. Might end up being the peak of solar cycle. And I think now we are in the somewhat of a drop down, somewhat of a low period. And then we'll probably see a second peak, maybe sometime in the second half of 2025. Of course, we'll have to wait and see about that. That's how we cope looking in terms of the trackers. And thanks to Shrine for updating our solar trackers. Right, this is from Richard. This showing spotted days and the current spotted stretch with a nice bonfire night theme. Guy Fawkes, remember, 5th of November, blimey. That was hatched near me. I don't know whether anybody knows that, but yes, it was actually hatched very, very close to where I am. In Northamptonshire, actually. So, who knew? Bobbing round then, maybe Gav would have been on the bonfire. I don't know. Anyway, so sorry, but I'm off on a tangent. So showing spotted days and the current spotted stretch. Throw him on the fire. Put him on the fire. The current spotted stretch is 0 days every day in 2024 has had sunspots. We haven't had a day without sunspots this year, and the same was true in 2023. In 2022, you have just 1 day without sunspots, but 2021 had 64 days. 2020 had 208 days. Our solar minimum year, of course, was 2019, quite a long time ago now, which had 281 days without sunspots. Comparable year from last solar cycle is 2013. That also had 0 days without sunspots. Next year's comparable year will be 2014. Quite interesting. And then the following year will be 2015. The comparable year will be 2015. And then 2016 will be the comparable year to 2027. And that's when we expect to see the first signs of the impending solar minimum. So much to Richard, the amazing Richard Traw, for our Spotless Days GIF and the bonfire night theme. Love it. Love it. Thanks so much to Shrine and Richard. Right, let's move on and have a look at the Arctic oscillation. Pretty good bits, isn't it? Pretty good bits update. AO observed and forecast looking like this. The black line shows where we've been, with the Arctic oscillation red lines at the end, with GFS ensembles and forecast the Arctic oscillation to go. So the AO went very, very positive back in the second half of October. Blimey, around the 3rd week of month, exceptionally positive Arctic oscillation. We come down from that. We are now around, well, we're slightly positive, but not far from neutral, really, for the Arctic oscillation. GFS ensembles forecasting that the Arctic oscillation is going to be in positive territory, though, through the first half of November. At the same time, the NEO is looking like this. Again, the black line shows where we've been with the NEO. Red lines at the end with GFS ensembles forecasting NEO to go. So, through much of the first half of the autumn, the NEO was actually in a negative phase, but second half of October saw the NEO going positive, and the GFS ensembles are keeping the NEO positive as well. So with both the AO and the NEO in a positive setup for the first half of November, that is a signal for probably mild weather. And indeed, it's going to be pretty mild, I think, in the next couple of weeks. Probably Atlantic driven as well, but with the Azores high maybe building through the west of Europe, there could be a lot of dry weather too. But it certainly isn't a signal for anything particularly cold. No northern blocking on offer there, I don't think. Right, this is the extended Arctic oscillation forecast chart from Kyle and Chrissy. So once again, we're confirming that we are currently in a positive phase with the Arctic oscillation. CFSV2 looks quite interesting actually. So as we're going through through November here, CFS is a bit up and down actually, negative there, positive there, negative there, which is a little bit different to what the GFS ensembles are showing. They're showing like a solidly positive scenario through the first half of November. Then we see perhaps a couple of weeks of positive AO conditions around the beginning of December, before there's a trend in towards negativity going on later on in December, and possibly lasting into January as well. So as we get further on, into the winter, because all of this is like autumn, really just here. As we get further on into the winter, we might see signs of the Arctic oscillation go negative, and the blocking signal possibly increasing through December and into January. The NEO extended forecast is looking like that. So again, currently positive with the NEO staying generally in a positive setup as well through the remainder of November. And overall, a positive NEO being predicted here through December and even into January as well. It's not till we get towards the end of January that the NEOs start to go negative. So that's quite disappointing, I think, for cold lovers and cold ears. It looks like the NEO has entered a long-term positive phase there through the remainder of November and possibly lasting through December as well. Of course, that's all experimental, so don't get too disheartened if you want some colder weather. But definitely the NEO being predicted by the CFS anyway to be in an extended long-term positive phase there. So what's currently going on in the stratosphere in terms of temperature at 10 HPA over the Arctic and the North Pole. This is from the JMA. The grey line is the trend line. The black line is the current season. So we're now actually a bit colder than average at 10 HPA in the stratosphere over the North Pole. We're somewhere about minus 72, minus 73. If we go a bit lower down to 30 HPA, there we can see we're also a little bit colder than average as well, somewhere again around minus 70 to minus 72, something like that. This is how the latest GFS is looking in terms of the stratospheric temperature at 10 HPA. So the blue colours here, these are the cold temperatures that we got over the Arctic and the North Pole in the stratosphere, polar vortex at its roots, essentially. And we see that we actually cool things down a bit over on the European side of the Arctic, going down to about minus 80. Over pole itself, probably again hovering somewhere close to about minus 70 in the next week. And then into the extended range with the GFS, that continues. You'll notice, there is a bit of a warming going on here over Siberia. These yellow colours just here have no impact at all on the Arctic or on the North Pole, confined to Siberia, but it is quite early to be seeing any sort of warming, really, of the stratosphere. So that's quite interesting, I think, but we're already starting to see some warmings beginning to take place over Siberia in the stratosphere at 10 HPA. It's only forecast, if the forecast is correct. As I say, that's quite unusual to see that happening in November, so that could be something to keep an eye on. Not that warming, but any further subsequent warmings as we get into the winter itself. This is how the extended forecast looking for zonal winds at 10 APA over North Pole. It's going from the east shed, but zonal wind has powered up now, is powering up, has powered up, and it's a bit hard to make it out, but this blue line, is the on summer mean, and that's going to be above average. This red line here is average, is climatology. So the zonal wind is powering up and will be stronger than average in the stratosphere at 10 HPA over North Pole during the remainder of November, and possibly lasting into December as well. That actually gets us to about the 20th of December, and we see that the zonal wind still forecast to be stronger than average. So that probably explains the positive AO NEO thing that's going on. So the temperature anomaly is looking at 10 HPA from the ECM over the next 6 weeks. These blue colours, of course, cold temperatures we've already established over the Arctic and the North Pole. Week 2 looks like that. There's the warming that we just talked about over Siberia. Quite a modest warming, not going to impact the North Pole in any way, shape or form, but it is, I say, a little bit early to be seeing any sort of warming taking place, really. That quickly fades out as we get into week 3. Week 4 actually starts to go quite cold over on the Pacific side of the Arctic and North Pole there. Quite a cold stratospheric temperature then, and then we see slightly cold average stratospheric temperatures maintained really through weeks 5 and 6 up to, that gets us up to 16th December. No sign of any sort of stratospheric warming, never mind sudden stratospheric warming. Looks like the cold temperatures at 10 HPA in the stratosphere over North Pole will be maintained then through through to the middle of December. Right, more analogues next. So, the centering temperature for October. Good bit, isn't it? Good update. The centering temperature for October came out at 11.5. That was 0.9 degrees above 61 to 1990 average. So, our second set of analogues for this 10th winter update will be looking at winters following October's with a CT centering temperature range of 11.1 to 11.9. We start off with winter of 1954-1955. This is a cold winter with low pressure. Make sure to try and sorting out these years for us. This has low pressure through the north and the west of Europe. At the same time, it's got a blocking area of high pressure close to Greenland. We bring in the wind from the northeast, so a cold and wintry winter we have there. Generally mild in December of 54, but January and February 1955 cold and have a lot of snow at times. Then we've got 63, 64 showing up next. This is generally dry, quite a mildish sort of winter, nondescript winter, and very much forgotten and, forgotten winter really about. We've got 71, 72 showing up next. This is a mild winter, high pressure. It's towards Scandinavia, but with low pressure through here, bring up the wind from a southerly direction. That's another mild early to mid 1970s winter. Then we've got 78, 79. This is quite an interesting winter because it starts mild and gets colder later. Overall, it does have a blocking signal more towards the Canadian side of Greenland, but you do see that the low pressure is away to the south. So December 77 was quite mild. Then we go through a very stormy period through January of 1978, and increasingly cold as well, I think. Then it gets particularly cold in February of 1978, a couple of weeks of cold and snowy weather. But then we have 78, 79 turning up. So this, of course, famous winter of discontent with low pressure down here, high pressure blocking around Greenland, and winds coming in from the east. Follows a very mild and dry autumn in 1978. The pattern flips at the end of November. We have a very wet December in 1978, often quite mild. It's around or just after Christmas that the cold really starts getting going. And we have severely cold and very snowy blizzard conditions for the New Year of 78, 79, famous New Year blizzard. And then the rest of the winter is very cold and often very snowy. The last time I had a sub-zero CT January was in 1979. We've got 1979, 1980 showing up there. So 70. So we have had 77, 78 and 79 a trilogy of 11 Celsius CT October. It's quite interesting. Well, the winter of 79-80 is often quite mild. It does have a weak block signal. That's generally quite a mildish winter. Then we've got 1989 showing up again. Showing in the first set of analogues. This is a very mild, exceptionally mild, but also very wet winter. 1990-1991 is back again. We talked about it in the first set of analogues. Has the big freeze, of course, in February of 1991. 1996-1997 is an analogue that doesn't tell you much about the winter overall, actually, with above average height through there and lower pressure through there. So this is a front-loaded winter. Coldest weather is in the early part of the winter, then gets very mild into February. The coldest weather is around Christmas and New Year of 96 to 97, where it does get very cold and it varies quite a bit of snow as well. And then the last time we had an October with an 11 Celsius CT, it was actually 11.5, but same as we've had this year, was 2009. So the winter of 2009, of course, was a very cold winter. High pressure blocking around Greenland and low pressure to the south a bit from the Atlantic into West Europe, winds coming in from the east. The coldest period of that winter was from the middle of December to middle of January. That 4-week period was very, very cold and very snowy a lot of the time as well. And then on off through the remainder of the winter. Overall, the winter of 09-10 was the coldest winter since 1978-1979. Interesting that both of those winters follow 11 Celsius CT Octobers. I don't know. Though overall, the winter of 09-10 was the coldest winter since 1978-79. And for Scotland, it was actually the coldest winter since the daddy of cold winters in 62-63. Right, let's put all that together then. It's how all December's combined looking, following October's with a CT range from 11.1 to 11.9. High pressure up towards Iceland and low pressure down here. There is some cold potential with those Decembers, with potentially winds from the east some of the time. All January's combined, even more interesting. The blocking signal is strengthened there from Scandinavia towards Greenland. Low pressure down here. Winds you could envisage would often be from an easterly direction, so definite cold and winter potential with a lot of those Januaries. Bear in mind, there's going to be exceptions to that. 1990, for example, would be one of those, but overall, that's how all Januaries are coming out. All Februaries combined, nowhere near as interesting from a cold perspective, even though we've got 1991 in the mix and 1978, but nevertheless, overall, a milder but wet signal for the Februaries. Still some blocking left towards Greenland, but much weakened and much reduced. And all winters combined are looking like that. Finally, following October's with a CT range of 11.1 to 11.9. Sorry, high pressure up towards Greenland, ice, and low pressure through here. So an unsettled winter is predicted, but definitely January has the greatest cold potential out of the 3 winter months there. Have another break in a moment just to say that if you're enjoying our content on the channel and you want to help support our work as well as get yourself a wonderful calendar, then the GavsWeatherVids 2025 calendar is on sale now. So that's the front cover of the calendar. It's retailing for £12.50. Pictures have been provided by the GavsWeatherVids community, so it's a proper community, calendar. And as I say, it's retailing £12.50, that's £10 for calendar, £2.50 postage and packaging. If you would like a calendar for maybe for Christmas, want that to fill your stocking, then all you need to do is go to the GavsWeatherVids PayPal page. The link is in the description with this video. Sign your PayPal account, send £12.50 to me, GavsWeatherVids, and also supply your name and address, and we will get your calendar out to you. Thank you so much, everybody, for doing that. It's a wonderful project. One of the greatest things that I've ever been involved in. with GavsWeatherVids. I'm so pleased to have a calendar came out. Thank you so to James098 for designing our calendar for us and creating it. And thanks so to the GavsWeatherVids community for supplying all of their lovely pictures and photos that have made up that calendar. And thank you so much to all of you who have brought calendar so far for your continued and ongoing support for GavsWeatherVids. Right, we're going to have one last little break, and then when we come back, we're going to have Eurasian snow cover. I reckon we still keep this under the hour. What do you think? Talked for nearly 45 minutes. I think we keep this under 60 minutes. We'll see, though. No, one more break, and then we're back with Eurasian snow cover, and then we're done. I'll see you in 2 seconds. Okay, we're back, and we're ready to resume the final part of the epic 10th Winter 2024-25 update. If you've enjoyed what you've seen so far, please like, share, subscribe, make sure everyone for doing that. Thanks to Richard for our amazing winter updates GIF, and I won't talk about anything else. Let's just crack on and do it. So this is how Eurasian snow cover was looking when we did last week's night winter update. We've got the snow line through there, and we're doing very poorly for snow across Scandinavia and or Nordic regions. This is the latest. So we have seen gains in snow cover. We have pushed the snow line through to there and actually got a patch of snow there as well. And we have increased snow cover across some parts of Scandinavia and Nordic regions as well. So a definite gain in snow cover in all regions since last week. But how are we doing compared to all years back to 98? Let's have a look. So we are behind for snow cover for all areas, Scandinavia, Nordic regions. Well, by the way, when I say Scandinavia, I am talking about Nordic regions as well. So just keep that in mind. Scandinavia colours like Norway, Sweden, Finland, etc., etc., etc. But anyway, we're behind for both Siberian, Russian and Scandinavian snow cover this year compared to 2023. Compared to 2022, I think we're a little bit behind there as well. That is 2021. So we're behind 2021 in all areas. That is 2020. What do you think about that one? I think we're a bit behind 2020 for Russian and Scandinavian snow, for Russian Siberian snow cover. Probably quite close though for Scandinavian snow cover, maybe a bit behind. That's 2019. We're behind 2019 in all areas. That is 2018, and we're behind 2018 in all areas too. That is 2017, and we are behind 2017 in all areas. We are way behind 2016 for Russian snow cover. We've actually got the snow line into Eastern Europe at this point in 2016. No, well behind that. We're behind for Scandinavia as well, Scandinavian snow cover as well. I think that is 2015, so we're behind 2015 in all areas. That is 2014, behind 2014 all areas. That's 2013. Running about that one, I think we're behind 2013, certainly for Russian snow cover. Anyway, that is 2012. We're behind that year as well. Not doing very good this year, right? That is 2011. So we're ahead of 2011 for Scandinavian snow cover, but behind it for Russian snow cover. That is 2010. So that could be one of the years that we're closest to, actually. I think we're very close to 2010 for Russian snow cover. Probably a bit behind for Scandinavian snow cover. That is one of the closer matching years, I think. That's 2009. We're behind 2009 in all areas. That's 2008. That's the first year, but I think we can say we're ahead of. So ahead of 2008 for Russian snow cover anyway. Probably quite close for Scandinavian snow cover. That is 2007. So I think a little bit ahead of 2007. I should have said we're ahead of 2008, by the way. I think I said behind, but we're ahead of 2008. I think we've been ahead of 2007 in all areas as well. That's 2006, so we're behind 2006 in all areas. And that is 2005. We're behind behind 2005 for Russian snow cover, but ahead for Scandinavian snow cover. That's 2004. What do you think about that year? That's one of a closer match year, but I think probably a little bit behind that year. That's 2003. We're behind 2003 in all areas, and that is 2002. We're behind that year in all areas as well. We're behind 2001 in all areas also, and we're behind 2000 in all areas as well. And that's 1999. That could be one of the close matches. I think it's probably 2010 and 1999 that are potentially closer matching years. That's 1998. So probably quite close to 98, maybe a bit ahead of it actually, Russian snow cover, but a bit behind for Scandinavian snow cover. So we have seen gains. That's the first important thing down on the table. But compared to many years since 1998, we are actually lagging quite a bit. Let's go even further back with Rutgers Snow Lab. We won't do a year-by-year comparison, but just keep that in mind. That's where the snow line is roughly, and we have got a bit through there as well, and that's how things are looking across Scandinavia and Nordic regions. So let's go through. Please let me know in the comments which years you think we're close to. That's 1997. I think that might be quite close actually to the current year. That's 1996. I think we're a bit behind 1996, certainly for Russian snow cover. We're well behind 1995 in all areas. That's 1994, so that might be one of the closer matching years as well. If you think the snow line is just there, and then we've got the ENSO up there. So I reckon that could be a closer matching year in 94. We're behind 1993, 1992, probably a bit ahead of that year generally. 1991 could be a bit ahead of that year as well. 1990 could be a closer match year, especially for Russian snow cover. 1989, perhaps quite close, could be a little bit behind though. Scandinavian snow cover ahead of 1988, ahead of 1987. Probably a bit ahead of 1986 actually. 1985, that could be a closer year maybe. 1984 could be quite a close match year. Again, if you think the snow line is through there, and they've got the area snow up there, and the snow Scandinavia, that could be a very closely matchy year actually. If you flip that around, turn it on its head, or you stand on your head and look at that, 1984 could be quite a close matchy year. 1983, I think we're ahead of that year, and we're behind 1982. Could be quite close to 1981 as well. I think we're ahead of 1980, especially across Scandinavia and Nordic regions. Probably ahead of 1979 as well. Behind 1978, behind 1977, way behind 1976. Good gracious me. Perhaps a bit ahead of 1975. Behind 1974 for Scandinavian snow cover, but perhaps a bit ahead of it for Russian snow cover. Behind 1973 in all areas. Behind 1972, behind 1971. Perhaps quite close to 1970. No data for 1969. Behind 1968 in all areas. Behind 1967, especially for Russian snow cover. And behind 1966 in all areas too. There we go. That is your 10th Winter 2024-25 update. I hope you've enjoyed it, everyone. Remember, each one of these updates are creating the picture forensically on a week-by-week basis, building up to the winter forecast. We're releasing the GavsWeatherVids Winter 24-25 forecast on certainly the 1st of December. Less than a month to go now, and we are very much at the business end, as I say, of winter updates. Just 3 more winter updates to go, actually. But what critical winter updates they're going to be. Exciting, 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 exciting. Right, okay, well, we're at the end of the 10th update anyway. Thank you so much to Richard Traw, to Shrine Bruin, and of course to Terry Scully, #TeamDown, for all the help, not only on this, but all of the winter updates that you have seen. Going to be live at 6 p.m. discussing this winter update, bring you a 10 to 14 day and some long-range data as well. And then don't forget, secondary sort of Christmas countdown straight after the live stream, about 7 PM. We kept it under the hour again, 53 minutes. So thank you so everybody for sticking with this epic winter update for the last 53 minutes and counting. We'll end it there. So enjoy the rest of your Sunday. I'll see you a little bit later on for the live stream. But for this one, for 10th winter 2024-25 update, that's all for now. And thanks for watching.